at 7 o'clock. Today is October 23rd, and this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Finance Committee. And as of now, we will begin, and we're being recorded. Is that right, Evan?
That is correct.
Excellent. We are joined by Councilors, Councilor Humphrey from Ward 5, Councilor Noel from Ward 6, Councilor Norton from Ward 2, Councilor Oliver from Ward 1, myself from Ward 8, David Kalis, and then, and Julia Maliki from Ward 3. We have Evan Cudmore, our committee clerk, and Steve Curley, our comptroller, Commissioner of Buildings, Josh Morse. We have Harry Rosenfeld and Connor Roach, both within the financial team. We have Commissioner of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, Nicole Banks, and then Open Space Coordinator for Parks, Recreation, Luis Perez de Marizi. And I think, and then we have Laura Kreitzer from the Community Preservation Program Manager. So I think that's it. Yes? All right, we have two items. I'm going to read the first one in. First one is 326-23 to appropriate funds for Phase 3 of the Gath Memorial Renovation Project, Community Preservation Committee, requesting authorization to appropriate and expend the sum of $1,200,000 for a total of $7,034,362, issuing any bonds or notes that may be necessary for that purpose as authorized by the General Laws, Chapter 44B, Section 11, or any other general or special law for a period of 30 years, with all proceeds to be deposited in the Community Preservation Act Fund, established under the control of the Planning and Development Department to complete Phase 3 of the Gath Memorial Renovation Project, which includes all remaining design and construction work necessary to renovate and replace the existing facility according to the approved plans. This was already in Public Facilities and approved 7-0. I think I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Banks. Would you be presenting on this, or was it Luis Perez de Marizi?
We will begin tonight with a presentation from the CPC, and I will turn it over to Laura Kreitzer. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Hi,
all right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I just can give a quick presentation if I can share my screen.
Please do.
So this is the Gath Memorial Pool Funding Amendment Recommendation. In June 2023, City Council approved the CPC's recommendation to bond future CPA program funds for the construction of the Gath Pool Complex, and that was just over $5 million in a 30-year bond. Over the summer, the city received a single qualified bid for the project, which came in higher than was originally estimated, which led to the current application requesting additional funding to make up the difference between what we had originally planned for and what we now need to complete the project. Construction is, and Josh or Luis can probably better speak to this. I believe construction is underway with the demolition of the pool at this time in order to get the new pool ready in time for the FY24 summer season. So the CPC was asked and agreed that they need to move quickly on authorizing additional funding in order to keep this project moving quickly and on schedule. So the funding recommendation is similar to the previous one: funding to construct 2 new swimming pools with their associated decks, reconstruction and renovation of the existing pool house, installation of new mechanical and support equipment for the facilities, a new accessible spray deck, and redesign of the overall facility for improved accessibility and usability. The CPC is recommending $1.2 million be added to the previous CPA recommendation and City Council authorization for a total of $7,034,362 in Phase 3 construction funds. This would be added to the previous bond, which is request for a 30-year bond which would be paid out of the CPC's current year undesignated fund, which is the funds we receive every year that is not reserved for any specific fund, and would come out of the recreation category of funding in the future. And this is the breakdown, the project breakdown. So $1.2 million request right now. The prior request in June was for just over $5.8 million. The city has put in over $1.4 million for a total of $8,473,562 for the project. And then this is the timeline that the project the CPC has been working on all phases of this project. Phase 1 to look at the facility study, phase 2 to complete the construction documents, which both were funded through the CPC, and now for phase 3, which beginning with the construction with completion next summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kreitzer. Anything from Ms. Banks or Mr. DiMarisi, or should I go right to questions? I'll go right to questions, I guess. Okay. I see we have two hands up. Councilor Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I guess these questions are mostly for Mr. Morris. I'm just trying to clarify here that with the increase, are both of these items tonight related to an increase or just one of them?
Both of them are related to the increase as a result of the bid. The bids coming in higher than we anticipated.
So then it's $1.5 million more. And was this was like outside and above and beyond contingency expectations or anything like that? I mean, that doesn't really apply until after, I guess, we're underway, or what?
Yeah, so what I told Public Facilities, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. In the summer of 2022, the project was estimated to be about $11.5 million. As presented, we worked with the Design Review Committee, the Community Preservation Committee, and all the stakeholders to build consensus, at the same time focus the project on the areas that were most important. And we were able to bring those costs down to about $1.5 million less than where we are today. However, once the bids were opened, we didn't end up north of where we had hoped we would be able to bring that project in at, but still significantly less than where we were last year. That $1.5 million is what we initially requested of the Community Preservation Committee. But as is typical, they asked for a city partial match. So they approved the $1.2 million in order to fully fund the project, including the contingency. We needed the $300,000 to round it out for that full $1.5 million.
So it sounds like that, and of course, I'm not suggesting doing it, but that there wasn't really a way at this point to like take some, flare off the project or something to save $1.5 million, because you had basically already stripped it down at that point, in the previous round of reviews to try to get the project to a manageable point anyway.
Yeah, I mean, really, to try to carve out that kind of money at this stage, it would have, a couple of things would have had to have occurred. We would have had to have done a redesign. So we would have had to have rejected this bid, gone back to the drawing board with the design team. And for that kind of money, you probably are looking at either doing no work at all in the bathhouse and the accessibility upgrades,
right,
or eliminating the splash park or the splash pads, for example.
Okay. So yeah, I guess unfortunate that it happened, but makes sense that we're proceeding with this as is. And it's I always say the municipalities are at the kind of the bottom of the pecking order in terms of their bargaining ability with all of the situation with supply chains and contractors and inflation and everything right now. So that I'm not surprised that would be the case here. Well, I'm glad to see that the project is underway, and I'm certainly excited to see it when it's done next year. And I'm sure my colleagues have some additional questions as well. But thank you for coming in and updating us on this. And I'm sure we'll be giving you the money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Humphrey. Councilor Norton.
I'm super excited about the project, ready to move it when folks are ready.
Thank you, Councilor Norton. Councilor Oliver.
Great, thank you. So I also intend to support the request here, but I'm just kind of curious. And I'm looking for this in the packet, and I didn't see it last time I looked, and maybe it's in here and I'm just whiffing on it, and I apologize if that's the case. The 1.2 increase that I'm hearing is going to be sourced from bonds. Well, how does that impact the payment or payment schedule that we're looking at for this?
So we had estimated previously, I looked at it today, the average that we were estimating was that it would be about 380,000 a year.
Mhm.
This brings it up to just over 400,000 a year, so it doesn't make a huge difference in the annual payment
Okay,
compared to what we were looking at before. We're still looking at for recreation projects, including the athletic fields, which we've also bonded.
Sure.
Between 12 and 14%, depending on where we come in when the bonds are actually issued, of the annual, where we're starting at our annual CPA funds going to pay back those bonds, and that'll go down over time. But
which makes sense. So I mean, this is well under just super quick math. That's under 10% increase. So that totally makes sense. That's all I was really after. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chair. And thank you,
Councilor Oliver. Any further questions?
Mr. Vice Chair, can I just clarify? Did we take up both items together or just the one?
Just the one.
Okay, I have a question for the second one, but
Yeah.
I'll leave it.
Yeah. So Councilor Norton, was that a motion to approve?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion to approve. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. All right, on the second item, 334-23, a request to transfer $300,000 from reserve funds, budget reserve, Phase 3 Gath Memorial Pool renovation project. Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to transfer and expend the sum of $300,000 from account 011-0498-579-400 reserve funds budget reserve to complete the Phase 3 Gath Memorial Pool renovation, including the FF&E and contingency. This was already at Public Facilities, which was approved 7-0. And who would like to present on this? Commissioner Morse?
Why not?
right.
So, as I mentioned before, we presented a request of $1.5 million to make the project whole. To the Community Preservation Committee, they asked for a partial match from the city. Therefore, they approved $1.2 million. We therefore subsequently submitted a request for $300,000, and the funding source has been identified as budget reserve. That's about it, but I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can. We have some folks from our finance team here as well if Councilor Humphrey's question is focused on the account. And Councilor Malachy, I just have to say that the toll holds are still in the project. I just want to point that out.
Thank
I
you.
wouldn't have expected them to disappear at this point.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilor Humphrey.
Thank you. I was curious about the reserve funds, like the source of funds. I know we have some of these accounts, but there's been a lot of chatter lately about various pots of money, and this is obviously not a free cash request per se. So I was wondering if you had any clarity on that point. I don't know if anyone from the Treasury team or anything, or maybe Mr. Yo is able to answer that particular question.
Perry, what is the total dollar amount that's annually in budget reserves? It's used for a variety of purposes, Counselor. From year to year, it's not a big amount. Perry, what's the total amount?
So within the current year budget reserve account, there's $500,000.
500, yeah.
Which actually, if I may, while we were putting the docket item together, we actually did type in the incorrect account number here. So if possible, we'd like to get that fixed.
Yes.
Yeah, if you can give us the number, I'm happy to make that amendment motion.
So it would be 01-10498-579-000.
Okay, assuming that the
Our apologies.
committee clerk has had time to write that down, that's the number I'll suggest and move. Yeah, I'm, to my earlier question, I am familiar that we have these reserve accounts and so forth. I was just curious about this particular one and like, had it been designated for something else originally, or it was just that
No.
we had, we had some reserve set aside for situations like this. Yeah.
It's our one and only budget reserve, Counselor.
Okay,
And
okay.
it's very small. We do
Okay.
not have very significant pots of money at all. As I think we have shown, we budget very, very closely to our expectations. We do not carry large amounts of money from year to year. This is one of the small pot that's used from year to year,
Well,
depending on the situation. So,
I wasn't
but in
trying
this
to,
case, we
yeah.
did want to use this for this purpose.
I wasn't trying to relitigate that. I was just asking a question. So,
Just-
okay.
Just reminding everyone, there's not a lot of pots. There's not a lot of money.
Well, there are
Help it.
some pots of money.
Not many.
All right.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Counselor Humphrey?
Yes, and I think I have a amendment motion to correct the. I don't know what kind of mistake we call this, but anyway, a
All
little
right,
boo-boo.
so there's a motion to correct the number, and I believe, Mr. Rosenfeld, just the last three numbers are replaced with 000. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Mr. Cudmore, do you have that?
Harry, could you repeat the whole number one more time?
Of course, it is 01-10498-579000.
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the amended?
I'll move
item?
it.
All right, so moved by Counselor Norton for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. And that concludes our work today.
Great.
Well done, Chair.
Thank you,
Thank you
everybody.
very much, everyone.
I'd like to
Thank you
say
all.
a big thank you to everyone from the first point of being here at these city council meetings, hearing that everyone was supportive of brand new pools. We've tried to move this forward and had the support from city council. CPC was huge in this. It's such an opportunity to get to invest in a community asset like this, and Mayor Fuller's support as well. So we're so very excited to see it moving forward and can't wait to have everyone out for a swim and a run through the splash pad.
Great.
Councilor Kalis,
Yes.
I just want to verify, there was the motion to amend the item. Was there a vote for the actual item itself after amended?
What I
Put it on the
asked,
amended item.
yeah, we voted on the amended item.
Okay, all right, just verifying. Thank you.
Yes.